Set in the far future, humanity has regressed several hundreds of years and is unable to understand much about their past and their language. We play as NieR, a young man who wants to save his sister from the effects of a terrible disease known as the Black Scrawl. Upon trying to save her, he runs into an ancient sentinel book known as Grimoire Weiss, who possesses the power of magic. With the help of Grimoire Weiss and a band of broken individuals, NieR sets out on a journey to save the world from the threat of the Shades and face the one behind everything, the Shadow Lord. NieR Replicant was initially released in 2010 and brought to us by series creator Yoko Taro. But for this review, I'll be specifically looking at the 2021 remaster, which was my introduction to this game. NieR Replicant is one of the most unique video games that I have ever played. The gameplay loop in particular is very fascinating because this, at its core, is an action RPG from Japan, and you kind of know as you start playing it how this game is supposed to work. However, it takes you through a curveball at many points in the game and refreshes itself over and over by creating a gameplay loop that is constantly changing. The majority of this game is like a traditional action RPG. However, there are moments of it being a top-down dungeon crawler, such as The Legend of Zelda, a side-scroller, and then even a visual novel. And it uses these moments throughout the entire gameplay to really refresh yourself. You're not getting too settled into one particular gameplay. And I think that makes for such a unique experience playing NieR Replicant, and it's one of the reasons why I was so hooked by this game when I initially played it. I remember I would spend hours in the night just playing this game all the way through its multiple endings, and it was really, really rewarding. And it was a game that stuck with me even till now, and I wanted to replay this game, not only so that I could eventually play its sequel, its more well-known sequel, NieR Automata, but so that I could review it for you guys and give this game the appreciation that I think it truly deserves. NieR Replicant is so well crafted from a story standpoint that it is one of the best stories that I think I have ever seen in a video game. It's very complex, but easy to understand, following the character of NieR, who is this very optimistic young man at the beginning of this game, who has to go through trials and tribulations to save his sister from the effects of this horrible disease. And so he has to go around the world fighting Shades, saving people, helping them do daily menial tasks. And that stuff in the first half of the game is incredible and so relaxing. There's just a relaxing nature about that first half where you don't take things too seriously. It's kind of laid back and it's really fun. And then you get to the second half of the game, and that's where things take a much darker turn. The character of NieR is transformed into somebody unrecognizable from the first half. He's more violent, he's more angry, and you slowly see the deterioration of this optimistic boy into someone that is much more bitter and violent and wants nothing more than to destroy the Shades. And it's such a stark contrast from the beginning of the game. And that theme continues through even when you do multiple different playthroughs of this game. And that is another one of the unique things about this game that is also in NieR Automata and was also in the precursor to this series, Drakengard. when you play the game the first time around, you are not done. You have only completed Route A. You still have Route B, C, and D, and for this remaster, a new E route, which is very fascinating to me, and I think speaks true to the themes of the game, of the original ending, and expands on them in a very powerful and optimistic way. Throughout NieR Replicant, you are helping people throughout their different prejudices. You're learning about different cultures, the way people have lived their lives for hundreds of years, and it's all about communication and the lack of it, because there are areas that you will go to where people are not very friendly to you, while there are other places where people will welcome you with open arms. And NieR Replicant just does such a great job of evoking this otherness throughout its story, and I think that is really incredible for a video game to try to tackle. As I said, once you hit the credits on that first playthrough, you are not done, because the game continues on and you have to replay the second half of the game over multiple times. However, you get a lot more context with things. You start that second playthrough and you start playing through it and you realize there's some changes, and it makes you reflect on the things that you did in that first playthrough and make you wonder if really what you're doing is the good thing in the end or not. And I love when a game can challenge you like that. It reminds me of Undertale, which I just recently played as well, and I know NieR Automata does this as well. It's just so well done, and as you piece together the game with these multiple routes, you get a full understanding of what this story is actually about, and when you get to that D ending, it is incredibly rewarding. Something that can be bothersome with this game is when it comes to the gameplay loop of the multiple routes. Because one thing that I noticed in this game, and it is very tiring the both times that I have played this game, is that you are playing essentially the second half of this game multiple times. And there's some changes throughout, but sometimes you are just playing through the same thing over and over and over, and that can get very monotonous, and you start skipping over things because you have seen them before, and there's nothing completely new about them. You've already watched all the new stuff, and you're just trying to get to the next ending at that point, and it can make that kind of tiresome to get through. The side quests are also pretty mundane. However, I will say that I think there is some worth in doing some of them, not all of them. The first time I played this game, I decided to do all of the side quests, and it was fun for a while, but it became very exhausting by the end, especially this one where you had to plant seeds and grow flowers, and it was just an entire mess. So this second playthrough, I decided I am going to do all the side quests in the first half of the game, and then in the second half of the game, I'm only going to be doing the side quests that are needed so that I can get endings C and D. Because yes, there are side quests in the second half of the game that you have to complete if you want to get the final endings to this game, which is kind of disappointing in a way that some of the side quests are mandatory. However, that first half of the game, there's some really good side quests, specifically one that focuses on a lighthouse lady who is wanting to be with her long-lost love. and it's very rewarding, sweet, and has a very bittersweet ending that I think is very rewarding if you see it through to the end. There's also a fun little side quest where you're learning how to fish by this fisherman who is just really, really good, and he teaches you all of these tricks, and that stuff is fun. However, not all of the side quests are like this, and not necessarily worth the investment to see them all through to the end. However, what I absolutely love in NieR Replicant, again, more than anything, I am a character person, and the characters of NieR, Emil, Kaine, and Grimoire Weiss are so incredibly realized. You just love these characters, and you feel for them, especially Emil, who is this young boy who was designed to be a weapon, who just thinks of himself as lesser because of the things that have happened to him in his life. He cannot see, or he can see, but if he looks upon anybody, they instantly turn to stone, and that is really good. There's also the character of Kaine, who is dealing with a crisis of her identity. She is a very sexualized character, and this could come off as fan service. However, it really doesn't. It ties in to her character as she is trying to express her femininity, and I think that is really, really good and strong. And again, I talked about how the character of NieR really goes through this horrifying character arc where he is so optimistic at the beginning and then so violent and bitter by the end. It's so well done, and the endings just tie into this really complex and well done story that is worth every minute of your time. So I have mentioned a lot of my positives and a few of my negatives, and I'm going to delve again into some of my negatives here, and one of them has to be one, it was my fault the first time I played this game. So if you are unaware of this game when you first play it and you don't know anything about it, you will play that first half, the first route of the game, and you might be like, well, you know, I beat the game, let me see what the next playthrough is like. You will instantly be taken to a visual novel sequence that lasts for me at least, about an hour. And that is a lot of reading, and it's very important reading because you get character backstory in these novel sections. They are necessary to understand a lot of the characters and some of the game's greater themes. However, I can say that these moments can be very, very slow and take a lot out of the pacing of the game, because this can be a very lightning fast game. However, there are moments like that that really break up the pacing, and I wish that maybe they were a little shorter or there was more visual flair to them with some sound effects or some voice acting to really spice those sections up, because they can be very tiring, especially if you did what I did in my first playthrough, which thankfully in my second playthrough they were a lot easier to handle because, for one, I knew what was going to go down, and also I was prepared. So yes, I absolutely love this game, but the thing that really does tie this in all together, not only just the themes or the characters or the story, it's actually the music. The music in this game is incredible. I found myself humming along. My girlfriend was actually watching me play this game, and she was humming along with the music as well. It's so catchy and beautiful and heartbreaking at times, and it just hits you in the feels in the best possible way and is truly the star of the game. This is a fantastic video game with an incredible story to tell that is worth analyzing and looking into. In fact, there is an entire podcast dedicated to understanding the story and the storytelling aspects of this game. There is this channel, Resonant Arc. They do a podcast series where they look at video games, specifically their storytelling, and analyze them in that way. And that is how I was introduced to this game, and it was completely worth it. Now, before I get into my final thoughts, I do want to bring up two specific things about this game's ending. So I am going to delve into spoilers. If you do not want to be spoiled, just skip ahead to my final thoughts, and I will be right back with you. Alright, so into spoilers. I specifically want to talk about ending D and then the new ending E, because I can see how ending E can really contradict everything that is in ending D, because ending D was the original ending to this game. It was the final say-so. And in that final say-so, NieR decides to sacrifice his life for Kaine so that she can live a normal life. And so NieR is erased from existence. And it's beautifully done with a great visual for this. You see your inventory just completely disappear. Your save file disappears right before you. Every spell you have learned, every weapon, every item, all your maps, they are gone. You are wiped off the face of the earth, and the world is saved because of you, and Kaine is saved because of you. And because of your sacrifice, she can live on. And that is a great ending in of itself. And then you get to ending E, which to me, it seems as if it would undo everything. Because in this route, you are playing as Kaine, and you are trying to remember NieR. You are trying to figure out who was your companion this whole time. And so Kaine goes on this journey to basically save NieR. And I thought about this in my second playthrough. Why would she want to save a person? And why would we want her to save a person who, at the end of the game, was just so far gone? He had gone off the deep end. He had become this violent killing machine that only cared about killing shades. And of course, at this point, we understand that the shades are the souls of humans, because everybody else in this world is a replicant now. And so we see this power struggle between the humans trying to survive and the replicants trying to survive as well. And so NieR kind of fails his hero's journey in a way. He ends up dying and sacrificing himself by the end. And it's like, do we want that character to come back? And I think the ending of NieR Replicant's ending E really solidifies why it is worth it to do it. Because at the very end, when Kaine saves NieR and brings him back, and there is a rebirth in a beautiful visual, by the way, it's not the old NieR that comes back. It is the young, optimistic and brotherly NieR, who was the thing that we got attached to at the beginning of the game to begin with. And I think that is such a powerful ending and really worth your time and effort to get into it. So yeah, NieR Replicant is a fantastic game. It does have problems in its gameplay loop. There are some structural things that can be rather annoying. It's not a super polished game, and there are moments that are annoying. You are going to have to read a lot at times, and then also there's a lot of replaying through the same thing over and over and over, which I heard is not as much of a problem in its sequel, NieR Automata. However, despite things in the gameplay not being perfect, I think the story as a whole is perfect, and it's why it is one of my favorite games of all time. Despite it having those flaws, I see past them, and I just enjoy this game so much, especially by the very end, because you see how the story has all connected into one thing and focuses on all of its themes and pays off in an incredible way. So, with all of that said, I'm going to give NieR Replicant a 9 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I do have a lot of video game reviews on the back burner that I've been meaning to release, but it's just, there's been a lot of things going on in the past couple of weeks, and I'm also just a bit lazy. But I want to get not only those reviews out for you, but some movie reviews as well. But thank you guys once again, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.